So today we'll be talking about Rob Reiner's adaptation of Stephen King's novel Misery. Our main two actors here are Kathy Bates and James Caan. Kathy Bates plays the villain, James Caan plays the protagonist. Kathy Bates calls this film her big break. She won an Academy Award for it in 1991 at the age of 42. So while we're used to seeing her in more like matriarchal, strong female roles, such as Evelyn Couch from Fried Green Tomatoes or the evil Delphine Lalaurie from American Horror Story Coven, in this film, as I said, she's only 42, and her face is really smooth and fresh, and she has kind of a girlish aura about her. In fact, I would say she's the quintessential fangirl. Take a look at this clip.
The way I was following you.
You're following me?
Oh, Paul, I've read everything of yours, but the Misery novels. You must be a good man, or you could never have created such a wondrous, loving creature as Misery Chastain.
Very kind.
I think that Annie's self-proclaimed status as Sheldon's #1 fan is extremely important to the film's argument. Misery is really about the negative impact of consumerism on artists and their work. Even though Rob Reiner directed this film, he adapted it from Stephen King's novel, which is important when we consider authorial intent. Reiner never tries to hide that this movie is an adaptation of King. He's very clear from the start. He constantly redirects us to King in all the promotional content for the film, from the poster to the trailer. Stephen King, whom we all know and most of us love, went up the ranks into fame with Carrie in 1973. And Carrie is now a horror classic. So by the time he published Misery in 1987, King had some of his own Annie Wilkes fans. I don't want to get too biographical with my analysis, but I think it's worth considering that Paul Sheldon and Stephen King might be character matches. Paul Sheldon is overworked, dispassionate, and exhausted from the beginning of the film. As he speaks with his agent, he says that he hasn't been a writer since he got into the Misery business, and I think it's important that William Goldman, who wrote the screenplay, calls Sheldon's books a business. Anyway, as we move through the movie and watch the relationship between Annie and Paul grow, it's a prime example of an abusive relationship, by the way. It becomes clear that while Annie seems to worship Paul at the very start, it's a dangerous sort of love where if he's not producing the sort of content that she wants to read, then his body is worthless to her. He is like an overbred milk cow and she's like the milk-hungry farmer. When Paul finds Annie's morbid scrapbooks later on in the movie, we see that she has taken advantage of her position as a nurse or a caregiver in order to hurt and kill people and patients, kind of like Munchausen syndrome by proxy. Misery is a gory movie, which I don't normally enjoy, but I think that the director is really tactful with this. Paul Sheldon's body is a metaphor for his body of work, and Annie would be the consumer. And her demands that she makes on him, and the way that she alters his pure creativity, really mutilate his chances to be the sort of artist that he wants to be. In America's capitalistic economy, people who build careers on creativity often sacrifice original intent in order to make a sufficient living. It's called starving artists for a reason. What I think King and Reiner are teaming up to say here is that if Annie was really Paul Sheldon's #1 fan, she would support his creativity and want him to create content that he enjoys. With this argument in mind, I think it's safe to say that King wrote Misery as a letter to his own readers and fans, warning them that their expectations are capable of stifling his industry and removing his passion. This horror movie is unique because we see the monster, which would be Annie. We see her face very intimately without ever really having the comfort of predictability. She continues to surprise us with the different evil things that she comes up with, even in the last 10 to 20 minutes of the film. Before I tell you my ranking for the movie, I need to tell you that I love Kathy Bates and all the characters that she has played over the years. That said, I rank this a 7 out of 10. It could have done more in the way of plot development, but true to King's model, it focused on character development. This movie had me considering different American books and movies and art through the lens of capitalistic economy. It had an effect on my thinking even after it was over, which is always a good thing. Nonetheless, Misery gets a 7. If you like peeing your pants, screaming, or adrenaline rushes in general, this probably is not going to be your movie fix. But if you prefer tension and twisted character profiles, you can find this film on Amazon Video. Happy watching!